Hello and welcome to Macro Mondays, brought to you by David Gockstein. I am your host, Landy, and today is June 15th, 2026, and we're looking at Bitcoin here on the daily as we did get the low set in a higher low fashion and a trend break. So we're going to take a little bit of a look at that. We'll take a little bit of a look at oil, traditional markets, and SpaceX. I've been looking for SpaceX to go to 200 and probably more, to be honest with you, probably quite a bit more. But we'll see kind of how 200 reacts. It just hit it post-market now. Talked about it when it launched on Friday and kind of hit directly in that area. We'll check on that in just a moment. But first, let's take a look at what's going on with Bitcoin here. We are using the index, so I did have to recreate my chart here, as I usually use Coinbase, but they seem to be having some issues retrieving the data for TradingView. So some sort of API issue there with getting the timely price action in. It is updating, but it's only periodically. All right, so here on index, the chart doesn't really change very much versus the Coinbase spot chart, just kind of negligible numbers. Some closes are a little bit different. But in this case, what do we have? We have exactly what I described last week, was essentially, higher low structure, looking for that to solidify on any closes above that 62.8. And as long as it was above the 62.5 region, it had a high percentage chance of doing so. Lower high there to a higher low, and now a higher high thus far. So now the last higher low is actually two nice little railroad spikes there at 60,750. And then we had the, so that solidified the trend reversal setup coming into Thursday. And then the Friday session tried, Saturday tried, Sunday actually pushed on through. Now there is some significant things that happened on Sunday outside of the news, actually, some fundamental stuff that happened that I'm going to show you here in just a moment. But essentially, I was looking for any closes above $65,000. So I wanted to see at least lower term timeframes get above $65,000. We did see that. And then, generally targeting 68 to 70. And realistically, anywhere above this last higher low, we're looking for continuation. So anywhere above, on closes, this 60,750 or so right here, we can still entertain moves there. And even higher potentially above 68 to 70 up into the top side of this range, in around the 72 to 72 4 region, in this case 72 250, potentially up to 74 to 76, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. This is a nice valid trend reversal setup off the low, so that was a trend reversal to trend break right to the basis band here, which is now trading at right around $66,500. Anywhere above there, we're starting to look towards, the upper first, which is going to be moving down each day unless Bitcoin closes above it. So in this case, that's just above the 6870. Let's go ahead and take a look at a few things here. So we do have DMI kind of showing that this is a nice area to potentially continue on from if structure remains intact. That means uptrending structure in higher low fashion, and then we can start targeting that. So this is a regular stochastic momentum indicator. We've got RSI. Didn't really throw a bull div, but is working its way. Midline is going to be about, where's midline going to be? Scale midline is 68,200. So again, scale midline is a 50 read there on RSI. So definitely an area to be looking to the upside, especially on continued closes above $65,000. The overhead area of interest is going to be that 68 to 70 area that I pointed out on Friday, and earlier than Friday, actually, last week. So essentially everything that we were talking about last week And if we turn on the levels here, I do have some lower term time frame stuff on here. I know it looks like a mess. My apologies, but same general range that we've been looking at, right? 58 to 60, sweep the lows. We got below 60. Nice higher low, reclaimed the $62.5 to $65,000 area, right where this first higher low came in. And then we had the actual sweep of the close open down here, which was at 62, 850, 860 area. We had the swing come in there. That's defining the bottom side of the range. We dipped into that prior to the run up to the big monthly there at 82.5 to 83K. Just overhead, we have the next big daily area of interest. We do have some lower term time frame interest over here as well, but daily area of interest 68, a little above 68. In fact, right around where that RSI read was for the daily at the midline. Scale midline's at 68.2. This is 68.225, so you can just call it 68. And realistically, I'd be looking at the bottom side here all the way up to around 70,000, 70,500 as being viable upside targets as long as uptrending structure remains intact. That is the invalidation. Don't mind the purple line. I'm going to explain that here in a second in lower term time frames. Anywhere above 70 to 70,500 up here, then we can start entertaining moves to some of the areas overhead. In fact, 72 would be on the board to the next bigger areas at 74. There is a little bit of an area here at 75 that's intraday on some daily areas for a spike low, but realistically 74 to 76 then becomes available by the upper second there. Lower likelihood up here, but definitely this would be in play on any kind of mean reversion back up. Again, as long as the lows are held and intact around 60,750. And realistically, this zone, any kind of dip back into this zone, 62.5 to 65 is fine as long as you see it holding up. If we do start seeing it break down, lower first is right there, but it's right around the close open, and bulls don't want to see that area getting swung and then closed into on any kind of move back down. So just keep that in mind. Bitcoin, pretty straightforward. When looking at the weekly, lower second bounce, this is to be expected. Mean reversion to the basis in and around again, $70,000 to the top side there. Any kind of swing above, I'd be looking to the 72 area. And then any kind of close below 60K in the lower second for the weekly, we're looking not just 58, but potentially mid 50s down to, 56 to, 55, 56 here. You can call it 54 to 56. And then on the bottom side, 52.5 essentially to 53.5, about $1,000 area there. And then it's all about, the upper 40s, 48 to 50K from there. But as it stands right now, things look okay on the daily. Let's just see how it plays out coming into FOMC. I don't expect anything crazy during FOMC, so I don't think they're going to cut. There might be some dovish talk, but I don't think they're going to cut. Look, core CPI, I know everybody's making a big deal about CPI, but that's driven in the near term by the higher oil prices, which have come down quite a bit. Let's go ahead and take a look at the weekly here. Weekly, still a bearish setup. We're starting to get a little bit of a range as we see the downside upper second now below that 82.5, 82.8 up there, which was the monthly area of interest. So big thing here is that monthly. Now I did put out a post that kind of went over some fun. Like, let's have some fun. What would I be looking for considering what the monthly is? And this is purely speculative and like what I would like to see. We're either going to get continuation to the downside into some of the areas below the lower second, into the lower third, getting expansion into these areas of interest. In this case, somewhere around the 48, 49K swing low, which was the ETF high, which is the bear market lower high over there. Big inflection point, the close over there about 45.5. That'd be a big area on continuation. We could also see a spike up into the low 70s area, or even a swing above that lower first, and then a sell-off down into that area, or a bounce that comes up into the mid 50s. That would be a nice sweep, and then a recovery above 60K would start to make this area look really, really good. Or there's the bullish scenario. It rips through the lower highs here. The next lower high puts in higher highs and then higher lows its way out the other side in an expansion fashion. This is a very low likelihood, though. Although it is low likelihood, it's not out of the question because this is a big compression on the monthly here. So just keep that in mind. And that's kind of it for Bitcoin here. I don't really have too much else to say. That's just a little bit of fun, a little bit of speculation there. Just keep an eye on the dailies. That's really where it's at right now. Let's keep an eye on the dailies, see where they kind of land. We do have higher low, higher high structure right now, and as long as that's intact, we are looking to the upside. Even if we do pull back, as long as we don't see any closes below that last higher low, then we kind of take it from there as price action develops. Now let's go over to oil. Oil hit one of the downside areas of interest on the daily. Talked about $80, essentially 76 to 80. We got 79.70 on the low there. So this is expansion to the downside. Next big area to see breached would be essentially 76 to 79 or 80. You drop this low over here at around 79. And that's all about the mid 70s. And realistically, what you'd like to see, if you are looking for this to come down, is closes under $75 that start heading back towards 68 to 72, this gap fill over here, right? So we can even mark that. We might as well, right? It's actually a little bit, it's like 71. 72 is where the lower third is going to end up working its way down to, even on an aggressive bounce. Be aware above $85. Be aware of 88 to 90, bottom side of this bigger area up here. And then if we did see some sort of recovery there, danger up to 95, and then potentially taking out that 97 to go for 98 to 102.5. But at the moment now, strong downtrend on expansion, but this could be a grind, and don't be surprised to see a bounce in this area. If we take a look at traditional markets, let's go ahead and look at SPY. We have the potential, and I mentioned this because it's a trend break, you do need to be aware of lower highs here. But if we see the highs taken out, 760, looking to 765 by the upper second, 770 after that, and then potentially price replace band around 775. 5 points at a time to the upside. Gap fill to the downside would be, about a 10-point range right now. So be aware of a gap fill back to the downside. Any higher lows that come in relation if we don't see a trend break back to the upside. So essentially this downtrending structure break back to the upside with a trend break. Be aware of lower highs that also come in for higher lows around the 730 region to the actual low for double bottom area around 725. But not my first take on where things are going. I would definitely watch what happens this week. As the week progresses, there is going to be some economic data, of course, to go along with the FOMC meeting, new Fed chair, all that good stuff. So definitely watch out for lower highs. If it drops the lows, I've talked about this, 725, we start looking towards the next big area at 715. And then below there, it's essentially this entire structure down to the lows around 702 to 705. There's not really a gap there anymore. It was kind of filled. But then, if we were going to really go for it, then it's 5 points at a time, 695 to 700, 690 to 685, down to 680 would be a 10% correction from the highs. Not necessarily something like I'm not projecting, just move with price at this point, because if it does break back to the upside, 765 to 770 is very, very attainable. Nice recovery, by the way, for SPY here. Everything's printing like it wants to go back up, but beware of higher high consolidation, even though it gets, it does something like this where it corrects and then keeps melting up and then keels over. That's what you want to be aware of. I'm not even going to bother with NASDAQ and Dow right now. Let's go to SpaceX. Wow. Pretty awesome stuff. look, we hit 200. I said 200 on Friday. I was looking for this thing to work its way to 200. It has. It's now sitting at 199 post market. Price action, pretty cool. Could this go for more to 203, 205? Absolutely, by the upper second in these lower term time frames. Potentially up to 208, 210. Absolutely in the cards. For this right now, anything below 191, pay attention to, 188 to the bottom side here at 180. But yeah, if it continues chugging along, I mean, this thing can keep melting sideways and up. Reminder that options are opening tomorrow for this. So I did not declare it, but I think I might have talked about it on Fridays. Like, I'm not really interested in trading it. I'm going to kind of sit out, but I kind of traded it. So it was kind of too nice not to, and post as we were entering into post market. So look, this thing can keep going. Unlocks aren't for a little while yet after Q2 earnings and stuff. So and it's looking like the way this goes, if it continues to go up, was 5 of 10 days, the extra 10% bonus unlock for 30%. So very, very attainable. Just keep a close eye on it as this ticks above 200. Cool stuff. Very cool stuff. I'm excited to see where this goes, because it is something that is different in terms of the schedule for share distribution and unlocks. And then also, 15 days, I think it's allowed to be in everybody's, pensions and 401ks and stuff. So, through the NASDAQ listing, it's going to have a lot of liquidity to sell into, which might limit some of the downside volatility. But I would just let this continue to float, see where it lands, take it day by day. I'm not, like when I said 200 on Friday, wasn't necessarily looking for that. It was 175, 180. I think we hit like 175 and then sold off. And then we ticked back to it in the early goings here on the Monday session, and then continued on up to the 190s and then to the 200s. So happening post market, just see where it goes. There's no, I would suggest, I'm not going to suggest anything actually. But what I would say is that I wouldn't be chasing this unless you know what you're looking for and what you want to do. So yeah, 205 is probably next, and then 208, 210. Kind of see where things go. Just keep in mind that if you are messing around with this, that options are opening tomorrow. So that is going to be it for me today. I appreciate everybody that watched the live stream on Friday with myself, Bits of Wealth, Ryan Ladd, and of course Ash, who I think should have way more followers than he does. He's great, great analyst. Also has a bunch of tools that he's made for indicators and stuff. I know Bits uses them. Obviously, Bits is a great analyst. Ryan is great too. Unfortunately, he was having trouble staying on the stream, but he did manage to get in at least a question for something for us to look at as he's on his journey, learning to combine what he already knows and level himself up with, understanding how to read the charts and execute based on that. And he's been killing it, by the way, for those that don't know him. He's been killing it. So I hope everybody got a chance to watch that. I know it's a longer stream. We kind of geeked out halfway through. So the back half of that stream is myself and Ash primarily just kind of geeking out on charts and information and fundamentals. And he's showing me tricks that he uses. And I was kind of giving my feedback on a few things from the fundamental side. It was a lot of fun. And of course, I will have some more people on this Friday for the Friday live stream as well. But I'll be back here at 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Wednesday for the Wednesday check-in. And then we'll kind of go from there, of course. And maybe I'll already know who's going to be on the Friday live stream, which is going to be at 8 p.m. Eastern. So like today, 9 p.m. Eastern, recorded video goes up. Same for Wednesday. And then Friday will be 8 p.m. Eastern live. And I really do appreciate all the support. Appreciate everybody jumping in. That's really awesome stuff. And then, of course, you can catch me on David's show on the breakdown at 12:15 p.m. or so Eastern Standard Time during the week. Just had a great conversation with him today. We were talking about the Knicks win and UFC and markets and gmarkets.io and all kinds of stuff. So it was a lot of fun. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, and evening, no matter where you are in the world. Please trade safe. And of course, as always, stay safe. With all of that being said, Landy out. Take care.